Welcome to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at the flexible drain pipe of the kitchen sink. It has a crack. I have it temporarily patched, but I'm going to replace it. So let's start. So the first thing we need to do is, there are two panels under the, I'm going to turn on the light on the camera. There are two panels under here. You can see the screws holding them in. There's a panel here, there's a panel there. Need to get everything out of here and take these panels off. So we're going to do that. To get these screws out, I'm going to be using my trusty R2 bit here. That's the square one. Alright, I just took this one off here. When I originally took this off, this was not written on here. I wrote this. The squares aren't necessarily in a hole pattern, or a square pattern, sorry. So it's good to know how the holes will line up. So I wrote top. Makes reinstalling it easily. Alright, got the screws out of the larger second panel. Also wrote top on it as well. Alright, now that the panels are out of the way, you can see our flexible hose. We're going to take the three drawers out to gain better access to that. And I think everybody knows to get your drawers out, you lift and push one down and the other side up, and then you pull the drawer out. All right, the first thing that I need to do is I need to remove that rubber bound clamp right there. All right, there's the rubber bound clamp and screw. It's off the pipe. All right, this is with the slide fully in. It's all the way retracted, and you can see the connection back there. It comes straight out to here, and you can see how they've got the hose tied on the inside of all of this, making this right here a smaller arc than it needs to be. Bad craftsmanship. That's all this is. Alright, we gotta get it fixed. I got those tie wraps off. I'm gonna cut this hose so I don't have to deal with it as a whole hose. Alright, the pipe is cut. Alright, now we're over here under the refrigerator. I am unable to get that clamp unscrewed because of the weird angle. So what I'm going to do is cut that pipe in between the clamp and the elbow. So the plan is to, you can see the blade on the tool. The plan is to cut the pipe right here. Alright, going to do that. So I cut that slit right there. Then I'm using the heat gun and I'm pushing that in. Once you get it heated, it's flexible. You can push it in, break it loose from the coupler, and then we'll do that all the way around with the heat gun. Alright, I got the pipe out using the heat gun, and I'll show you. That's what it looked like after I heated up, twisted it out. That was the piece that was furthest in. There we go. So now I got to put my pipe in there before I do anything else. This is the hardest. This is the hardest side right here. So, all right, this is the pipe I ordered. It's 1 1/4 inches. I got it off of Amazon, and I got it from here. Here's the label on the pipe. Once I got the pipe out of that coupling, that or adapter, the 1/2 inch to 1 1/4 inch adapter, I reamed out that 1 1/4 inch adapter with the Schedule 40 reamer here. I'm gonna replace this elbow. I'm gonna cut this probably about 1 inch above this. All right, I've got the hose crimped or turned about as tightly as I'm willing to turn it, because it feels like it's starting to crimp. That's about 11.5 inches. While you're doing this, if you need to manipulate those hoses and cables to make room for what you're doing, you know, that's what you got to do. All right, we're going to try to go ahead and glue this end of the pipe. I've never worked with the flexible PVC before, so I'm a little bit skeptical about how this is going to go. But I got some extra length cut into the pipe, so no big deal. And I'm using the all-purpose glue so it can be used on ABS or PVC. So, all right, moving right along. All right, got the pipe glued in there. Most of the bend of the pipe occurs in this cabinet, and you can see it's only 12 inches wide. I don't think that install was a well thought out job. Let me just say that. This piece, the drawer backing right here, this wall, is going to come all the way up to about here, maybe a little further. So we definitely need to use all of this room. To get back there to that pipe, right back there, this has to come out, and it's just got one little notch holding it in. It's just scissored around this to hold along the back side to hold it on, and then there's one notch that will allow it to be retained once it's turned. Now once you turn it to that notch, you can remove it. Mine wasn't on when I started, so I didn't have to deal with that, but I did just put it back on, so I figured I'd tell you. All right, I got the hose installed, and I angled that elbow a little bit out this way so I could use this whole room. So now everything has to be tied up so it's out of the way of everything. This has to be adjusted downward a little bit. So we're going to do that right now, and then I'll show you what the final product looks like, and then we'll operate the slides and take a look. I relocated this clamp from the pipe, the down pipe over here to here to help hold this secure. All right, now put the clamp back, but this time I put the screw on this side. So it'll be easier to access next time someone needs to do this. Hopefully never. And there's the foam I added back. Another thing I want to say about tying this up. If you'll notice, I tried to avoid getting those braided lines against that PVC pipe, and the reason why is because that braiding is unforgiving. It will cut through steel. It'll definitely cut through PVC, so I don't want it rubbing it across it too much. I got this tied up. It might touch a little bit, but there's not going to be a lot of rubbing there, so no big deal. All right, so there's the repair. That's the way I did it. Hit like and subscribe. Have a great day, everybody.